So my computer's been running a bit hotter than I'd like. Now, I thought about getting it a CPU cooler. I heard those things are good for longevity, but there's just so many options. And I mean, these things are just an aluminum heatsink and a fan. Surely they can't be that complicated. How much do you really need? To find out, I went on Aliexpress and got the A degrees CPU cooler and the Tishric. I'm sure these are great. What do we have? A degrees. Is A a lot of degrees, or is that not a lot of degrees? I guess we'll find out in the performance testing. In addition to the A degrees, we've of course got the Tishric. That one seems good. These are two different styles. This is like a tower cooler. This one's more flat and fan, circular. More like a stock cooler. So what do you get when you buy a Tishric cooler? Let's open this up. Okay, this is some kind of mounting hardware. Please tear off before installation. It's already done. And then some very plastic mounting hardware, and I guess that's thermal paste. This thing weighs nothing. All right, what do you get with an A degrees cooler? You know, I think I've seen this mounting hardware before. These are identical. Just going off of appearances, I like the way this one looks better. They both weigh absolutely nothing. There is cents worth of aluminum in these. The A degrees does have a smaller fan, which I guess would probably end up being a disadvantage. I don't know, it just looks like a tower cooler, but miniaturized. Just to give you a point of reference here, this is like pretty standard size tower cooler. It looks like this, it actually weighs something. Yeah, there's a bit of a difference there. My understanding is that it's kind of an advantage for CPU coolers like this just to have more mass in metal, because then sudden changes in power load, well, that's just going to get absorbed by the metal, and then it can be dissipated over time by the fan. But how much mass are we actually missing out on? I don't know what this is, some kind of old tower cooler. All right, that one weighs 840 grams. Let's try the A degrees. 212. Okay, the Tishric. Ooh, 167. That weighs nothing. I'm just realizing they absolutely lie about the weight of this cooler. This doesn't weigh that much. Also interesting, the Tishric claims it'll only hit 19 dB of like sound loudness, whereas the A degrees goes up to 38, even though this one has slower RPM fan. Seems counterintuitive. The socket compatibility is also slightly different between these, despite the mounting hardware looking like it came out of the same mold. I don't know how that works. Don't worry though, because if you've got any problems, 3-year quality assurance. Not a warranty, it's just an assurance of quality. Okay, I think we need to actually test these things. Let's put together a test bench. And by test bench, I of course mean a computer power supply in a cardboard box with holes cut in it. Aren't you glad you watched this high quality tech content? Subscribe to youtube.com/@scuffedbits. Here is our test bench, and these things are also going to have to go up against the AMD stock cooler for the AM4 platform. This is an AM4 motherboard with a Ryzen 2600X. This CPU should be plenty to push these coolers to their limits, judging by this one being rated for 65 watts. That's not a lot. In addition to testing these ones, they've got their own competition. They need to hold up to a full-size 120mm tower cooler. No idea where this came from or how old it is. What about an AM2 cooler? This is from an Acer desktop from 2006. And then of course, stepping up, how much of a difference does a dual 120mm radiator actually do? Is it better than the A degrees? Let's find out. Time to power up the Skit Friday and get some baseline numbers. In addition to our Ryzen 5 2600X CPU, this computer is also running 32GB of DDR4 and a GT 1030. This graph right here is going to have the average temperature of the CPU die, and then I'm going to be heating up the CPU using Prime 95 small FFTs. Just a power virus that's going to push this thing to 100% usage. So how does a stock AMD cooler perform? Let's start Prime 95. Well, the program immediately crashed. That's not what I wanted. Ah, there we go. 103% CPU usage. Don't know how it's possible. Certainly gonna heat up this chip. At full power like this, the computer draws 200 watts from the wall plug, and HW Info reports that the CPU package is getting 111 watts of that. Not really sure where the other 90 watts is going. I guess this power supply is not very efficient because I know it's not going to this GT 1030. I don't know, maybe this is some power hungry RAM. So then, after 6.5 minutes of Prime 95 on an AMD stock cooler, the CPU is sitting at 87 degrees Celsius and running 3.825 gigahertz. Let's swap out this cooler for the Tishric and see how it does. As much as I want to try the mysterious unlabeled thermal paste that came with these coolers, I'm going to stick with this same tube of thermal paste for all of the coolers just to have consistency with that. Now that is a securely mounted Tishric CPU cooler. Oh, it's got lights. I don't think the package even said it had lights. No, this thing's just orange on the pictures. It actually looks like this. All right, well, that didn't take very long. You can see our CPU core clock graph start up at 4.2 gigahertz and then just fall off dramatically to 3.2. The stock cooler, it settled in at 3.8. So we're officially running way slower than the stock cooler did. And to make that worse, the CPU is continuously running at 94 degrees Celsius. That's not really ideal. And we're only hitting 70 watts of CPU power as opposed to the 110 we were getting before. That being said, it's kind of living up exactly to what it advertised. The box says 65 watts, like it can handle a CPU that uses 65 watts. It's running continuously at 70 watts. Technically, it's doing more than it said it would. It's just not really enough for this CPU. If you had something lower power though, yeah, it would handle 65 watts, I guess. I will also give it credit, it claims to be a quiet cooler, and it does not make much sound. This thing is legitimately very quiet. Tishric does not beat an AMD stock cooler. Moving on. Let's test the ancient AM2 cooler. I kind of find this thing funny. There's no copper like the newer AMD stock cooler, or even the cheap Aliexpress ones have these heat pipes. This is just aluminum. It's just flat piece of aluminum. Wow. We've officially found the loudest CPU cooler. Why is it at full speed? I'm gonna have to restart the computer, I think. Okay, apparently it doesn't matter. It just runs at 100% speed, no matter what. This thing's gonna win just because of how much airflow is going over that. This is the highest RPM fan out of all of them, for sure. That thing is loud. I hate to say it, I think this one's gonna win. This is the oldest cooler here. This is from 2006. I guess, I don't know when this is from. We'll probably test that too. But that fan is just ripping. The airflow is so high, and we're technically slightly faster than even the AM4 stock cooler. That thing is loud, but it puts out the numbers. Time for the 8 degrees cooler. I think this one looks the best. We'll have to see if it performs at all. Lighting wise, those are way brighter than this one. I don't know why I did that. I guess that also fits with this just being the nicer looking cooler. I like the tower over the flat design. Oh, I got thermal paste on my desk. You know what? This might actually be a good result. This is still running at 3.85 gigahertz, tying with the AM2 cooler, and it's only at 80 degrees, and it's not ridiculously loud like that AM2 cooler was. This thing is actually doing good. It's been like 10 minutes of full load Prime 95, and the CPU frequency has gone up. I keep seeing it spiking up to like 3.9 gigahertz. I'm impressed with the 8 degrees. Tier list updated. I do want to find out how much a full-size 120mm tower cooler will destroy everything else we've tested. So I'm gonna put this on and see what kind of numbers we get. The cooler is not actually mounted with proper mounting pressure. I don't know, the thing's pretty heavy though. Not a scientific test, just seeing what it does. Okay, yeah, not only is this thing not going over 75 degrees, it's running at 3.95 to 3.97 gigahertz the entire time. That is the highest we've seen with any cooler. Sorry, 8 degrees, there's simply multiple times the amount of metal and surface area and size of fan. This cooler has a lot more going for it. I feel like it also costs a lot more. I have no idea where it came from. There's not really any doubt in my mind that this massive all-in-one water cooler is gonna get to the top of the tier list. It's simply so much surface area, double the fans, but how much of a difference does it really make? If you want to buy one of these things, it's going to set you back about 60 Canadian dollars, like 6 times the price of the Aliexpress coolers. This computer is running at 59 degrees, fully loaded, Prime 95, 59 degrees. And that's not the best part. The best part is we're doing that over 4 gigahertz. The only cooler I've tested today that will run the computer continuously at 4 gigahertz. That's pretty cool. I guess that was kind of to be expected though. There is so much more surface area here. And it's a whole water cooling setup. You would hope it was better. Additionally, the most expensive cooler so far. The AliExpress coolers were both like $8 or $10 or something. This is 60 bucks. Updated tier list. Perfectly, yeah. Oh no. Main takeaway here in terms of buying AliExpress CPU coolers. The mini tower cooler, like this 8 degrees one, actually impressive. I think this is great, especially for like $10 I paid for this. The Tishric definitely left some to be desired. This thing was not impressive. CPU frequencies here, this thing is so far below everything else. And it was running at 94 degrees. I don't recommend it. The ancient Acer AM2 stock cooler. This one's disqualified because the fan doesn't speed control properly. I don't care to rank it. If you have a full-size tower cooler with a 120 millimeter fan, you're gonna beat both of the AliExpress options. I have no idea what make or model or when this was even made, but it beats the AliExpress cooler. So if you have one of these, it doesn't matter if it's old, it's gonna be better. And then of course, if you go up to this level of surface area, obviously that's gonna win. And I think that's kind of it for AliExpress cooling. Biggest other takeaway here, don't put a computer power supply in an enclosed cardboard box. This whole thing is warm. Other than that though, thank you for watching and come back next week. Subscribe. Bye.